Welcome to the final vision, aka the showdown with Lucilius. While there certainly are ways to cheese the fight, you're here to learn it for real. Because it's more fun that way, right? I'll be covering recommended build, as well as every mechanic and optimization notes. Let's get into it. Before we start, let's talk about recommended sigils. The most important sub to take for this fight is Nimble Onslaught. There's a lot of downtime focused on dodging abilities, and landing perfect dodges on many of those is incredibly consistent and easy. HP and defense sigils are not that important, as most of the attacks that are lethal do far more damage than you can survive. However, running over 40k health can put you over the kill threshold for a number of abilities that are quite common killers. Improved dodge is not necessary, but can be nice for learning. Light over fight is also an option, but make sure you fill in the loss of raw damage you get from that. Potion Hoarder is, as always, the most overpowered sigil for preventing you from tanking the ground. It's recommended until you're comfortable with the fight, and new learners can consider using Guts and Auto Revive on top of it. Let's dive into the fight. Lucilius will start off casting Paradise Lost, which creates constant circle AoEs on players and in static positions, while also shooting lasers across the arena at different angles. Both of these do lethal damage. The lasers have two tells. One is a flash on the edge of the arena, and the second is from Lucilius himself. The pattern for this is static, though other casts later in the fight will have different patterns. As such, you can learn this opening pattern and dodge it in the same way every time. A consistent method of doing so that works from any of the starting positions is by sprinting to the right as soon as it starts, then slowly curve up to the upper right corner. Trace the edge of the circle, continuing to run counterclockwise, but not at full speed, cause you'll want to be behind this circle. Give it a second to resolve, and then continue running. Typically, the first skill Lucilius casts is one of two skills with a purple mist visual. One sucks people in, and one pushes people out of melee range. When he casts a suction, it's followed by a rain of dark orbs cascading outward. This deals medium damage and applies an SBA seal for 25 seconds. Simply wait for the first set of orbs and then dodge inwards. In the push variant of the skill, you'll create rotating orbs that spiral outward, which applies small damage and a skill seal for 15 seconds if hit. If you happen to proc Nimble Onslaught before this, you won't get pushed out of melee range, letting you sit and avoid the orbs. The next ability to look out for is his spinning blades. Swirling winds will push you away, while his blades rotate around him, before creating a large donut AoE. You can outrange this or run inside. If Lucilius glows red, he's about to perform a series of point-blank AoE slashes, followed by several red circles. Both the slashes as well as the circles have several lingering hit frames, so make sure to stay well out of them if you don't hit a perfect dodge. Next are the landmines. Lucilius will create landmines around the arena, and purple swirling effects appear on each spawn location. These spawns will do a high amount of damage, and stepping on a mine will trigger a fast explosion that deals damage in a medium radius. be mindful of your position as well as that of teammates, as it's very common to get blown up by landmines if he does a suction shortly afterward. Lucilius has 5 different basic attacks. First is a 3-hit combo, which is telegraphed by a yellow flash, with a long delay before the first hit. Next is a fast 2-hit combo. This happens very quickly, but will always be preceded by either the 3-hit combo or a skill, and then a teleport. If Lucilius floats backwards, you shoot 3 attacks in front of him with small AoEs, or do a larger 2-part attack that does lethal damage. Finally, he also has a 3-part ranged attack, with the last hit being the deadliest. When he starts one of these chains, he will commit to finishing the entire chain, and often using a skill afterward, even when pushed beyond trigger thresholds. So, waiting for one of these to attempt to skip phases is a viable strategy. When Lucilius enters his first Overdrive phase, he will cast 7 Trumpets, which will start a series of mechanics. Failing any of these will result in failing the side mission, as well as losing some of your max HP for the rest of the fight. First is Punishment. Step on a colored circle to activate that color. Then you have a short time to step on all the copies of that color, before the progress is reset and the arena explodes for lethal damage. During this time, a shockwave will close in from the outside. You can score some really easy Nimble Onslaught procs by perfect dodging either the shockwave or any of the purple circles. Pay attention to the most outward circle and try to run opposite to its direction. This is especially useful when running with AI, as AI has a hard time chasing that one. Next is Holy Winds and Ruin. Lucilius will spawn 4 large orbs at the center of the arena. These have no health. Simply hitting one will activate it, spawning 4 more orbs around the arena, each of which have 200k health. Kill all 4 orbs to destroy the large orb, and repeat until all the orbs are gone. During this time, lasers will be firing off the black feathers, which do a medium amount of damage. They resolve pretty quickly, so be on your toes. Trinity of Terror is next. Lucilius summons his 3 swords around the arena, which must be killed in time. These swords have fairly obvious telegraphs, but keep your eyes on Renunciation, as its telegraph is mostly in the animation, and when the actual telegraph line appears, you can easily get hit by it if you're not paying attention. Upon killing any sword, you can pick it up to throw at other swords for a bit of damage and defense down. Parts of the arena will glow and shatter during this time, but this is purely a cosmetic effect and doesn't actually do damage, so focus on the swords and their red telegraphs instead. Lucilius will then channel Paradise Lost. During this time, he has around 75% damage reduction. This cast can only be cancelled with a full burst. Any less, and you'll have to dodge another Paradise Lost attack. If you want to enter Link Time in the following phase, initiate the first SBA before the stun meter fills. Fun fact for EL players: if you charge a Stargaze 5 and dodge cancel it before the cutscene, you can resume charging it afterward. The next portion of the fight plays similarly to the initial phase. Note that upon reaching break, the stun meter resets, so this is why we didn't fill it in the last phase. Upon reaching 60% health, Lucilius will cast Celestial Fusion, gaining access to new abilities. He'll also cast Final Rebellion, which creates circular AoEs and laser strikes on each player. Each of these do massive damage, but are easily avoided by moving. The circular AoEs leave behind puddles that inflict slow, though this is largely inconsequential for this section. The next part of this cast creates tracing lasers, while large orbs fall around the arena and create shockwaves. This part is easily trivialized by dodging into the tracing lasers, which will always trigger a perfect dodge. Finally, a massive orb will be dropped, which creates a shockwave that inflicts lethal damage. The pulsing telegraph can be a bit misleading. Just stay on the outside, remain calm, and wait for the ball to land, and then either dodge or jump over the shockwave. From here on out, in addition to new mechanics, all Lucilius' attacks do roughly 50% more damage than before. Similar to the fast spinning orb attack, there's also a slow version. Be patient and understand their speed before dodging through them. When on the side of the arena, Lucilius has access to two dangerous new attacks. One is a huge cleave that hits down a line, inflicting lethal damage and HP reduction. He also has a fast laser sweep, which also inflicts lethal damage and max HP reduction. This can be jumped over. Upon entering Overdrive, he will attempt to cast Paradise Lost. Unlike the previous version, this is cancelled by a single SBA, and he has no other damage reduction other than the natural damage cut from Overdrive. At 30% health, he will cast Final Rebellion again. Handle this just like the first. His next phase is at 20%, but until then, he can cast another Paradise Lost at any time, so push the DPS or have an SBA ready to avoid that. Additionally, he can trigger a Wings attack, which is handled the same as the one in 7 Trumpets. When lowered to 20% health, he will use Gopherwood Ark, which is a series of line attacks. The initial ones can be blocked, but the ones that come after do lethal damage and cannot be blocked. These follow a static pattern, and can be easily avoided by staying on the edge near their starting position. Lucilius' Enrage begins at 10% health, but until then, as he is still in Overdrive, he can cast Paradise Lost at any time, so be ready for it. When reaching 10%, he will cast the End, a hard Enrage, while spawning his 3 swords to attack. Keep your eyes on the Sword of Renunciation again, and continue beating down on the boss. Congratulations! You made it through Lucilius without cheesing. I am so proud of you! Make sure to check the Lucilius Sigil Guide for a mathematical approach to optimizing your new sigils. Who am I kidding? Get back to farming, cause you're gonna need 5 eggs to get those new sigils. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time!